Devil Fruit plus Breathing Technique plus Swordsmanship plus System. What kind of life would you choose if given an opportunity to travel through and be reborn into the world of One Piece? Become a just navy, sweep away all pirates in the sea, become a powerful pirate, defeat all enemies, seize One Piece, become the Pirate King, or become a revolutionary army pushing the world government to achieve freedom and peace. Is this the pursuit of all travelers? Standing on the city wall, holding Tina in one hand and Ein in the other, Lee looked down at a group of guys below who were almost beaten to death and said in silence, "What's so good about fighting and killing all day? Can't we just talk about some romance?" Chapter 1. Genius does not require training. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naval Headquarters Marinfando. On the new recruits training ground at the Navy Headquarters, a group of new recruits are actively engaging in physical exercise. The Navy's new recruits instructor, Zifa, trains the male and female recruits separately. At the male soldier training ground, male soldiers are either doing weight-bearing running or lifting weights to exercise their physical strength. Some are practicing boxing or waving wooden swords to practice swordsmanship. All male soldiers are racing against time to exercise their bodies, in order to become stronger and become elite soldiers and enter the elite training camp. Upon entering the elite training camp, they can receive the personal guidance of General Instructor Zifa. Zifa, a former naval general, possessed superb physical skills and powerful armed aura. He was known as the Black Wrist and was on par with Kappa's Iron Fist. After stepping down from his position as a general, he served as the chief instructor of the Navy, specifically training new recruits for the Navy. Although Zifa's strength is not the strongest in the world of pirates, his ability to teach students is only stronger than that of Teacher Kaido. Many rear admirals and major generals in active service in the Navy are under the command of Zifa, and even the 3 major naval generals are students taught by Zifa. Therefore, being able to enter the elite camp and receive personal guidance from Zifa is undoubtedly an opportunity to become stronger. Every new recruit is training tirelessly in order to win the top 10 spots in the elite selection competition and enter the elite camp. However, an anomaly appeared in the new recruits' camp. All the male soldiers were training hard, but someone secretly ran to the side of the female soldiers' training ground, holding a high-definition navigation telescope. I didn't expect Tina's figure to be so good, but unfortunately she had to wear pants with her long legs. When will the Navy be able to design better uniforms for female soldiers? Ein's figure is also good. These short shorts complement her long legs perfectly, but why does she always feel that these beautiful legs lack soul? This secretive male soldier was scanning back and forth on Tina and Ein with a high-definition telescope, which emitted a blazing light. At the same time, the male soldier was constantly drooling. "Lee, you bastard is sneaking a peek at the training of female soldiers again. If General Teacher Zifa finds out, you will be miserable." Lee, a new naval recruit, was born in Marinkodo. Both of his parents were naval generals, but they sacrificed their lives heroically during the pursuit of pirates. When his parents passed away, they entrusted Liitua to their best friend in the Navy, Pagliusolino, who was one of the 3 great generals of the Navy, the Yellow Ape. At the same time, Lee also has another important identity as a traveler. In his past life, he was born in the great country of Huagua and was unfortunately struck by lightning in a thunderstorm weather. I thought his life would come to an end like this, but I never expected that God would bring him back to life, and it was the world of the One Piece King. Lee was enjoying the beautiful scenery when a discordant voice came from behind. Upon hearing this sound, Lee knew it was Smog, a big smoker, because he had a strong cigar smell. "Smog, you know disturbing people's appreciation of the beautiful scenery is a very annoying behavior, and doing so will be criticized by Barbie." Smog was one of the few friends Lee knew in the Navy. At first, they didn't like each other and often fought. They became friends after fighting with men. At this point, Smog had already eaten the devil's fruit, so when the two fought, Lee always suffered losses. In theory, every intruder has a necessary cheat system, but Li Yi has been in the world of pirates for so long without awakening the system, which makes him doubt whether he is a fake intruder. Li Yi, I'm here to remind you not to be caught by the chief instructor. You've been caught by Teacher Zifa more than once. Smog kindly reminded Li Yi behind his back that this guy can be said to be the laziest among male soldiers. Everyone else is trying to train him but secretly watching his girls. Li Yi. What are you afraid of? That old man Zifa won't come today. Don't disturb me to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Smog. Just go ahead and die. Silently looking at the hopeless guy in front of him, Smog turned around and was about to leave, but a sturdy figure blocked the way ahead. Smog looked up and almost scared out of his wits, stuttering, Sigma, number 34, Z. Just as he was about to shout out the name, Zifa, he was stopped by Zifa's stern gaze. Zifa waved his hand to signal Smog to get lost quickly. Smog turned his head to look at Li Yi and quickly left, while Li Yi was eagerly watching without realizing that Zifa had quietly come behind him. Zifa. Does it look good? Li Yi. It looks very nice, but unfortunately I almost got something. Zifa. What's missing? Li Yi sighed and said, of course it's high C, it's better to use the long tube type. After saying this sentence, Li Yi realized something was wrong. Smog's voice had changed, and it sounded so familiar, like a strict old man from the blissful land. Omega, no, this voice is from Zifa old man, the wind is pulling hard. With a shudder sound, Li Yi's figure disappeared instantly and he even used the shaving technique of the Navy's 6 styles. Although he did not awaken his cheats, as a time traveler, he was still someone who had watched hundreds of episodes of Pirates and knew how to cultivate the 6 styles. ZFA. It's so naive. How dare you teach me how to use a small skill like carving insects? Can you use shaving in front of me to escape? As the words fell, ZFA's body shape disappeared instantly, and in the blink of an eye, he caught up with Li Yi. Li Yi, who was running rapidly, suddenly felt a strong aura behind him, and then a big hand pressed down on his head. With a loud bang, Li Yi was instantly pinned to the ground, unable to move due to the powerful force. Li Yi. The old man, be gentle, his head is about to explode. Li Yi, who was pinned to the ground, screamed in pain, causing everyone on the training ground to burst into laughter. Obviously, this was not the first time Li Yi had been caught like this by Zifa. Zifa. Among all the students I have taught, Pauliusolino can be considered lazy. I never thought you were lazier than him. Li Yi spread out his hands innocently and said, Omega, I have no choice, who calls him my uncle. I learned from him. Watching the young man Zifa pinned to the ground also gave him a headache. Although Li Yi's strength was not the strongest among the new recruits, he was definitely the most talented. The shaving technique, one of the most powerful body techniques in the Navy, was learned by him in a short period of time, and it was shocking that no one had ever taught him. This guy just sneakily went to the elite training camp to watch his demonstrations a few times, and within a few days, he actually learned how to do it. But this guy is exceptionally lazy, he just doesn't like training. Every time I train, I sneak to the women's training ground to sneak a peek at them. Every time, I am caught by Zifa, which gives him a headache. For this reason, Zifa often went to find the yellow ape. Every time the yellow ape saw Zifa looking for him, he immediately opened the 8-foot mirror and ran away, saying, "It's too scary. Oh, how could I stand up for such a nephew? How many times have you told me that you need to train diligently, even though your talent is very good, it doesn't mean you don't need to train." Zifa said with hatred that iron cannot turn into steel. Li Yi. Chief Instructor, I believe that watching some beautiful scenery in a reasonable way can help to bring joy to the mood, which has a good effect on training. Li Yi said solemnly, as a time traveler, he firmly believes that cheats will be used sooner or later. Do we still need to train if there are cheats? Zifa. Is there any basis for this? Lee. This is based on scientific analysis. If you don't believe it, go ask Beijia Punk, the world's #1 scientist. Lee. Science, do you understand science? It seems that Cap is right. When it comes to idiots, we must use our fists of love to influence them. I saw Zifa slowly rise up with fists as big as a clay pot. Wow, damn it Sigma, don't mess around, don't slap your face, Zifa old man. The sound of punches hitting each other repeatedly rang out, and Lee, who had no resistance, transformed into a pig head, after experiencing the baptism of love's punches. After teaching Lee a lesson, Zifa shouted loudly. Gather. In an instant, all the students watching the excitement lined up and waited for Zifa's lecture. You have undergone a period of training, and to become a true naval soldier, training alone is not enough. You also need to go through the baptism of real combat. So there will be practical training in 2 days, and you will be divided into 2 teams. One team is led by me personally, and the other team is led by Lieutenant General Mole. As Zifa's words fell, all the new recruits immediately boiled. Day and night of hard training was enough to go out to sea and catch pirates, realizing the justice in their hearts. Chapter 2. New soldiers sail away, Weibull attacks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Lee and a group of new recruits boarded the Shanghai Army warship with a sword. He was assigned to the fleet led by Zifa, and Ein was also assigned to Zifa's fleet, while Smog and Tina were in the fleet led by Mole. The warship sailed towards the Blue Sea near the waters of Shambhodri. Recently, the Navy headquarters received news that some pirates from all over the world had appeared near Shambhodri, so they arranged for these new recruits to engage in combat. Lee, holding a sword in hand, stood on the deck and looked around like other recruits, but his eyes occasionally drifted in a certain direction. Is Ein wearing tight sailor shorts on the deck? In order to prevent sunlight from shining on her thighs, she even put on high C to make Lee drool. Raising his eyes to look around the deck, he confirmed that Zifa was not there, and Lee walked towards Ein with coquettish steps. Hi, Ein. Upon hearing the sound, Ein turned around and saw Lee walking towards her. It's you Lee, you're also on Teacher Zifa's boat. Ein was also very happy to see Lee. When they were in Malinkido, they accidentally met at the training ground. At that time, Ein was practicing alone when she suddenly noticed a sneaky guy peeking at her. Angry, Ein had a fight with Lee, but Ein had not yet eaten the devil's fruit and her physical skills were not very strong, so she couldn't even defeat Lee. During the battle, she played tricks on Ein several times, specifically attacking the difficult to defend parts of her body. In the end, she made Ein cry. Lee quickly told a few jokes to coax her, and in the end, she guided Ein's physical skills hand in hand. The two also became friends in this way. Lee. Is Ein nervous about going out to sea to catch pirates for the first time? Ein. Don't be nervous, with Teacher Zifa around, no matter how powerful the pirates are, they will never come back. As she spoke, Ein's eyes showed a look of admiration, and she had immense trust in Zifa's strength. The former naval general was a trembling presence even among pirates. Hey kid, is the scenery beautiful? Good looking, very good looking. The sudden sound from behind made Lee's body stiffen, and he slowly turned around with a huge face close to his eyes. Zifa grabbed Lee's head with a big hand and said, I think you are very free. Then you can wipe all the cannons on the warship for me. Nanny. Inside the warship, Lee was wiping the cannons with a cloth while cursing at Zifa. Damn the old man, always hindering me from picking girls, barbecue. A sudden and urgent bell rang, and a soldier shouted loudly, pirates are attacking, everyone pick up weapons and prepare for battle. Wow, Zifa is so fierce that he dares to attack a navy ship. Lee also didn't expect that the pirates would dare to attack the navy warship, and he didn't have much time to pick up his sword and follow the team to the deck. At this moment, the battle situation on the deck was fierce, with the sound of blade collisions and gunfire rumbling around. The Navy and pirates engaged in a major melee. A huge roar sounded, and Li Yi looked over to find Zifa fighting a massive pirate. To Li Yi's shock, the pirate was able to fight Zifa back and forth. This pirate is huge and about 7 meters tall, holding a huge knife in his hand. His golden hair and a crescent-like beard make him look like a crescent moon. Li Yi looked at this massive pirate and felt very familiar. He kept recalling memories in his mind and finally remembered who this person was. Edward Wilbur. A silly fork who jumped out after the death of Whitebeard and claimed to be his son, and was even praised by the yellow ape for possessing the power of Whitebeard's youth. Now Zifa is finished. In the plot of One Piece, Zifa once led a new recruit to sea for training, but was attacked by Weibull and lost one hand. However, Li Yi never expected that he would be so lucky to encounter it. At this moment, Weibull was wielding a huge sailor's knife and was chopping at Zifa indiscriminately. Unfortunately, Weibull's attack did not even touch Zifa's clothes. For the use of the Navy's Type 6, Zifa has reached the pinnacle, and the Type 6 is in Zifa's hands like a demon fruit ability. Before Weibull's big sword could strike, Zifa's whole body mysteriously disappeared, leaving only a remnant. 6 moves, instant body. Armed color, black wrist. As if it were a ghost, Zifa arrived behind Weibull, his fists covered in armed aura striking him from behind. Although Wilbur may seem a bit silly, he is not at all foolish in battle. At the moment Zifa's fist hit the back, he covered his armed aura behind him. With a loud bang, Zifa's fist hit with a loud bang, and after being hit by Zifa's fist, Weibull only leaned forward and did not fall. Big guy, your silly reaction is also good. But your armed aura cannot stop the old man's fist. Black wrist, ripple fist. As the words fell, Zifa's powerful fists were covered with ripples, and under the vibration of the ripples, Weibull's armed and domineering aura on his back was instantly shattered. Zifa's ripple fist requires advanced armed color dominance to be used, which is similar in principle to the flowing Sakura dominance of the Land of Harmony. Flowing Sakura is a method of injecting powerful energy into the body to destroy, while Zifa's ripple fist principle is to condense the armed color powerful energy onto the surface of the fist, and use vibration to destroy the enemy's armed color powerful energy. This move is specifically designed to break through the enemy's armed color powerful energy defense. As the armed aura behind him disintegrated, the powerful force of Zifa's fist plunged into Weibull's body, like a shockwave piercing through his body, blasting a large hole out of the deck. Under the powerful force of this punch, Wilbur spat out a mouthful of blood. It hurts so much, old man. I'm angry, I'm going to kill you. Wimble, who had been injured, had wild hair and red eyes, emitting a violent aura from his body. He suddenly turned around and swung his big knife at Zifa, striking him head-on. At the moment when Wilbur turned around, Zifa immediately used the instant technique to dodge, and the violent aura emanating from Wilbur made Zifa feel dangerous. This feeling is only felt in Roger, Rox, Golden Lion, Whitebeard, Keto, and Charlotte Lingling. With a single blow, Wilbur slashed into the air, but with this blow, he unleashed a terrifying shockwave, like a sword warrior's slash, directly cutting a long crack through the deck of the warship. Even Li Yi was stunned. When he was injured, he unleashed a powerful force like a berserk warrior, and his attacks began to become more precise. No matter how Zifa used his instant body technique to dodge, he could always attack the next moment Zifa appeared. Big guy, you're bullying me. This old man doesn't dare to confront you, right? Today I'll show you what a black wrist is. Zifa's 2 arms were covered in black and domineering aura, and in an instant he approached Weibull. His black fists, carrying terrifying power, attacked Weibull. Upon seeing this, Weibull raised his sword to face Zifa's fist, and the blade collided with the fist with a loud bang, causing a powerful shockwave to spread in all directions. Dang 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 dang, the two engaged in intense close combat, and their fists collided with the blades, producing countless sparks. Zifa's fist collided with the blade time and time again, and soon Wilbur's big knife was covered with cracks. It was obvious that this guy had not covered his weapon with dominance. Lan Jiao, Black Axe. Zifa leaped high and covered his right foot with an armed aura, lifting his right foot up like a battle axe. Weibull raised his big knife to block it, but with a click, the knife snapped. The power of this move not only shattered Weibull's big sword, but also left a scar on Weibull's chest. Taking advantage of this gap, Zifa prepared to solve Weibull in one fell swoop. With his right hand accumulating strength, he was about to launch the ripple fist. Suddenly, Zifa's body appeared abnormal, panting heavily and kneeling in pain on the ground. And when Li Yi saw Zifa's appearance on the side, he knew that Zifa had an asthma attack. Chapter 3. Thunderbolt Infusion, System Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fa Xiaozi was unable to attack due to his asthma attack, and after being attacked by Zifa's Lanjiao Black Axe, Weibull further unleashed his violent power. Weibull raised his right fist, which was covered in armed aura, and directly aimed at Zifa. Zifa, who was suffering from asthma, half knelt on the ground and sensed danger. Crossing his arms, he barely covered his armed aura, but under the condition of an asthma attack, Zifa couldn't resist this punch. With a loud bang, Zifa's entire body was blasted away. Even under the defense of armed colors, the powerful power of Weibull's fist was transmitted to his body through his arms, and a mouthful of blood gushed out from Zifa's mouth. However, before Zifa could catch his breath, Weibull's fists stormed wildly towards Zifa. Zifa's asthma attack was so intense that he couldn't fight back and could only let his fist strike him, causing numerous injuries to his body in an instant. After Weibull attacked for a while, he picked up the broken sword and prepared to deal with Zifa. The broken big sword struck towards Zifa, and Zifa could only instinctively raise his right hand to resist. According to the plot, Zifa will be beheaded by Weibull with one arm. At the moment of crisis, Weibull was attacked from behind and thick smoke rose up. Ein was seen shooting at Weibull with two pistols. "Pirate, you are not allowed to harm Teacher Zifa." Ein shouted loudly at Weibull, shooting wildly with both guns in her hands. A series of shots hit Weibull like mosquito bites. Weibull turned around and angrily looked at Ein, lifting his broken knife to create a shockwave. Upon seeing this, Ein quickly used the Navy's Type 6 shave to dodge, only to see Ein's body move and disappear in place with a whoosh sound. However, just as she thought she had dodged this attack, a massive figure quickly appeared behind her. "You want to play hide and seek with me, and now I have you." Upon hearing Weibull's voice coming from behind, Ein's face instantly turned pale. How could this big guy be so fast? At this moment, Weibull had already raised his hand and cut off the knife towards Ein. Ein had no time to dodge, and she had closed her eyes waiting for death. The expected pain did not come, and Ein only felt the sound of the wind breaking in her ear as she lifted her body off the ground. When she opened her eyes, she saw that she was already held in Li Yiheng's arms. The girl was smelling the girl's body fragrance up close in her arms, feeling the touch of high sea. Li Yi only felt extremely happy, *******. Li Yi, you saved me, thank you. No need to thank you, how could I cause any harm to the beautiful lady? Li Yi gave a charming smile to Ein in his arms, but Ein in his arms saw Weibull's huge figure walking towards him, and his broken sword struck again. Li Yi, be careful. With a warning from Ein, Li Yi instantly shaved off and quickly approached Zifa. Old Zifa, why are you still panting and not carrying medicine? Arriving by Zifa's side, the two of them supported Zifa, who was still gasping for breath. I didn't bring the medicine with me. I rely on, oh. When old Zifa is sick, he needs to take medicine and carry it with him. You're looking for shit. Who are you talking about, stinky kid? Do you believe me? I'll teach you a lesson now. Alright, come on. With you out of breath now, I quickly took him to the side to rest, and I'll stop this big fool. Kid, with your strength, you can't beat him. You can block him for a while and wait for my body to recover. Zifa gasped and said, while I looked at Li Yi with concern. Looking at Ai Yin's worried gaze, Li Yi grabbed her hand and said, "Don't worry, I won't die." Their eyes met as if there was an inexplicable attraction, and as they got closer, Ain's eyes had quietly closed. Cough cough cough. At this moment, Zifa's breathing increased, and it was unclear whether the old man was intentional or not. Ain helped Zifa get the medicine and turned around to look at Li Yi, who was walking step by step towards Weibull. Li Yi's thin and weak figure contrasted sharply with Weibull's huge body. The two of them looked at each other with strong murderous intent. Li Yi looked at the big fool in front of him with a runny nose and looked down upon him with disdain. Weibull looked at the little dwarf in front of him with a strange look at him and angrily shouted, "Little dwarf, you really hate me. I want to kill you." After speaking, Weibull raised his broken sword and struck heavily. Of course, Li Yi would not resist this blow, and in terms of strength, he could not match Weibull. So Li Yi could only adopt a kite tactic, launching a shaved body to quickly move and dodge the attack, widening the distance from Weibull. Holding the handle in his right hand, he drew a sword and swung it out, creating a curved sword wave. The so-called chopping wave is a long-range attack technique used by Jinhao to attack aerial targets and long-range attacks. Its principle is to use the sword in his hand to cut out power at high speed, similar to a curved slash, also known as jianbo. The power of the sword wave cut out by Jinhao is comparable to that of a shell. Don't be fooled by Li Yi's mediocre training, but he focuses on practicing swordsmanship at night. Moreover, Li Yi's swordsmanship was taught by the yellow ape. Although the yellow ape's physical skills are not very impressive, at least he can still compete with Lei Li through swordsmanship, indicating that the yellow ape's swordsmanship is not bad. Sword waves headed towards Weibull and finally landed on Weibull's chest, leaving a scar. Blood spurted out in an instant, and the angry Weibull headed towards Li Yi like a bull. Li Yi saw this and waved his sword continuously, chopping out countless sword waves to attack. However, this time, Weibull learned how to be clever and covered his body with domineering energy. The sword waves could not cause damage and had to avoid Weibull's attack again. With extremely fast speed, he surrounded Weibull and released the sword waves to launch an attack. "Dwarf, your attack can only be mosquito bites for me, it's up to me to attack." Weibull raised his broken sword and charged for power before slashing it, causing a shockwave to move towards Li Yi. Li Yi, who was suddenly caught off guard, could only block with a horizontal knife and simultaneously used the Navy's Type 6 iron block. The force of the shockwave hit me with a bang, and even with the use of an iron block, I still felt a severe pain. I couldn't help but kneel on the ground and a mouthful of blood gushed out. The fact has proven a truth, using an iron block to force others to attack is either death or injury. The shock wave swung out with just one knife has such great power, no wonder many years later the yellow ape claimed to have the power of a young white beard. At the moment when Li Yi was injured, Weibull rushed forward and cut off his sword again. Unable to dodge Li Yi, he had to grit his head and raise his sword to confront him. The blade collided and made a clang sound, and in an instant, Li Yi felt his grip on the knife almost shatter. Weibull's attacks continued like a storm, while Li Yi could only reluctantly raise his saber to defend, just like a boat in a huge wave was overturned at any time. After attacking hundreds of times in a row, Li Yi's body was covered with countless scars, and blood dripped onto the deck. And Weibull was also tired of Li Yi's stubborn resistance. Gao Ju cut off his sword and charged his energy, chopping out a huge shockwave that was even stronger than any shockwave he had previously swung, and the deck cracked wherever he passed. This time, Li Yi was unable to resist and lay heavily on the deck, being thrown away. "Teacher Zifa, Li Yi can't stop. Damn it, my body hasn't recovered yet." At this moment, Weibull also headed towards Li Yi, preparing to make a comeback, because this damn guy could still stand up. Ein and Zifa on the side were shocked by the situation, and as they looked at the murderous Wilbur, Zifa struggled to stand up and prepare to fight to the death. Roaming, at this moment, the sky began to rain heavily, with dark clouds densely covered and thunder making a sound. Thunder shone within the dark clouds. Li Yi, who was severely injured, struggled to get up and looked at Weibull, who was approaching step by step. Li Yi was powerless to stop the attack. Damn it, did I just die like this? Li Yi looked helplessly at everything in front of him and repented in his heart, there was once a beautiful time of cultivation in front of me, and I didn't cherish it. I regret it when someone is about to kill me now. The most painful thing in the world is not being able to cheat after traveling. If heaven could give me a chance, then I would practice diligently. If there must be an additional requirement, I hope special cheats can be opened earlier. Unification cursed Zifa and Ein in confusion, and it was unclear what was going on with Li Yi. Weibull also stopped and looked at Li Yi, scratching his head and saying, "Aren't you fooled by being beaten?" Li Yi looked up at the sky covered in dark clouds and let out angry shouts. Thunder shone and roared in the dark clouds, as if the sky was raging. A thick thunderbolt struck towards Thor, and the light of the thunderbolt engulfed Li Yi's body, causing immense pain and scorching heat throughout his body. I didn't die in Weibull's hands, but was struck to death by lightning. I'm probably the most unlucky traveler in the entire universe. Just as Li Yi closed his eyes and waited for his busy schedule, a scene similar to reading a note suddenly appeared in his mind. At this moment, Li Yi's face was filled with tears. After waiting for a long time, she finally arrived today. It turned out that every time she traveled, there were cheats. The reading bar on the system interface is advancing rapidly, soaring from 1% to 60% and still rising. At this moment, Li Yi was even more shocked to find that his body was absorbing thunder, that is, the system was absorbing the power of thunder. As the reading progressed rapidly, it quickly reached 100%, and the system activated a mechanical sound. The host has completed activation and is now selecting the appropriate breathing method for the host. Breathing method, what the hell? Isn't it the breathing technique in the Blade of Ghost Destruction? In my mind, various breathing methods such as sun, moon, wind, fire, thunder, rock, water, rosy clouds, insects, flowers, and sound flashed like a lottery wheel spinning, and finally the wheel stayed on the breath of thunder. Congratulations to the host for choosing Thunder Breath. The mechanical sound echoed in Li Yi's mind, while the sword technique of Thunder's Breath came to mind. The sudden drop of thunder shocked both sides of the battle, and everyone looked at Li Yi, who was scorched black like carbon after being struck by the thunder, speculating whether Li Yi had already died. Suddenly, Li Yi moved, which frightened everyone and caused them to pick up their swords. I saw Li Yi slowly insert his Tai Dao back into the scabbard of his waist, making a gesture of pulling out the sword. At this moment, the whole scene fell into a quiet state. Facing Li Yi, Weibull vaguely seemed to hear the sound of breathing, which was like a thunderous roar, ready to take off, and a strong sense of danger suddenly rose. This silly guy instinctively used armed colors to cover his body, while the broken knife in his hand quickly swung towards Li Yi. The breathing of thunder is in the shape of one, with a flash of thunder. Li Yi, who closed his eyes tightly, opened his eyes and his body burst into golden lightning. In the next moment, his body was like a lightning bolt chopping towards Weibull. Ding, a sound of tight collision sounded, and Li Yi's lightning-like figure crossed with Weibull, their backs facing each other motionless. At this moment, only the handle of the knife was left in Weibull's hand, and what was even more terrifying was that a 1-meter-long wound had appeared on his chest at some point, followed by blood gushing out. Chapter 4. Becomes yellow and stronger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everything happened too quickly, and everyone saw Li Yi pulling out his sword and chopping it as fast as lightning. Even though Weibull used his armed aura, he still couldn't resist the blow. This blow directly dealt a heavy blow to Weibull, and the long wound could even be seen inside. After cutting this knife, Lee had exhausted all his strength and collapsed directly, while Weber was heavily injured and half knelt on the ground, covering his wound. The pain from the wound made him cry like a child, looking at Lee lying on the deck with extreme hatred. Ignoring the pain from the wound, he clenched his fist and walked towards him. "You bastard hurt me, I'm going to kill you." A fist full of angry power hit Lee's head, and if it goes down, it will be fatal. Bang! At a critical moment, a pitch-black fist appeared and repelled Weibull with one punch. "Sorry for the big guy, my body has already recovered." Zifa appeared next to Lee, and it seemed that his asthma had paused. Although he had not fully recovered, he was more than capable of dealing with the severely injured Weibull. Although Wilbur is foolish, seeing Zifa already capable of fighting, coupled with his own injuries, he is simply unable to resist. Since he couldn't fight, he ran away, so Weibull decisively took the other pirates and ran away. Not long after Weibull ran, the mole that received the distress message rushed over. Looking at the dilapidated warship that had been destroyed by the battle, the mole quickly inquired about the casualties. When the mole learned that Zifa was almost killed by Weibull, he felt a bit incredulous. The strength of General Zifa was almost killed by an unknown pirate, but when he learned that Zifa had asthma, the mole also understood the reasons for his body, which made Zifa's combat power inferior to before. However, what surprised Mole even more was that Lee, as the first lazy person in the new barracks, was able to confront Weibull, which truly shocked him. When Lee opened his eyes, he was already lying in the hospital at the Navy headquarters. He only remembered activating the system, awakening Lei Ji's breath, and then cutting towards Weibull before falling into a coma. Close your eyes and the system interface appears in your mind, displaying various attributes. Host. Lee occupation. Swordsman level. Junior swordsman main breathing method. Thunder breathing assisted breathing method. None daily. 3000 dominance. Unawakened the 3 realms of breathing method. None in the Navy, an ordinary soldier with a Tao power value of 10 and a Tao power value exceeding 500 can be considered a Superman. The Superman here is not the Superman who can fly by wearing underwear in reverse, which means surpassing ordinary humans. At the same time, the Navy divides its combat power levels based on its Tao power values. Extraordinary level, destructive level, and annihilative level. The extraordinary level Taoist power is about 1000 to 9000, the destructive level Taoist power is about 10,000 to 90,000, and the destructive level Taoist power is 100,000. As for the legendary level of destruction, it cannot be calculated based on Taoist power values. Wow, I'm even more powerful than a real egg now. He can hit up to 10, and I can hit 300 now. Lee, with his eyes closed, giggled foolishly, while the nurse beside her whispered to the doctor. The doctor woke up, but why was he laughing? The doctor said upon seeing the situation, generally, people who have been struck by lightning are abnormal. Has Xiaoyi woken up yet? Suddenly, a pair of long legs wearing black high heels opened up in the ward, and the figure of a famous knife hanging from the waist of a pink tight-fitting suit entered the ward. The person who came was actually a Navy general's alternate Peach Rabbit, the only female general's alternate in the Navy, with a famous sword named Jean Kunluo hanging around her waist. Xiaoyi didn't wake up, why was he laughing with his eyes closed? General Peach Rabbit, we are not sure either. This kind of symptom of being struck by lightning is also the first time. We estimate that he is probably. The doctor pointed to his own skull and said. After hearing this, Tao Tu quickly hugged Li Yi's head and said, "Poor Xiaoyi, you've encountered such a thing while interning." Li Yi, who was closing his eyes to check the system interface, suddenly smelled a charming fragrance and immediately felt trapped in a soft sea of clouds. Opening his eyes, he saw the Peach Rabbit's expression of immense concern. Since the death of his parents, Li Yi, who lives alone in Marinkodo, has been taken care of by Peach Rabbit. In Peach Rabbit's eyes, Li Yi is like his younger brother. Sister Peach Rabbit, you're here. I heard you were injured, so come and take a look quickly. Are you okay? I heard from the doctor that you were just laughing foolishly, you wouldn't have hurt. The Peach Rabbit pointed to its head. Sister, don't listen to him talk nonsense. He was transferred from the neighboring psychiatric department and doesn't even know how to read internal surgery. Are you asking him? Li Yi gave the doctor behind Peach Rabbit a look of wanting to be stabbed, and the latter immediately shut up and didn't speak. But after being struck by lightning, even your hair color changed. Wow, I won't be green, will I? Hurriedly looking in the mirror, I breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it wasn't green. I saw that my originally black hair turned yellow after being struck by lightning, just like the guy from the Blade of Ghost Destruction. However, this is not the point. The point is that Li Yi feels that his physical strength is much stronger than before. No wonder his current strength is 3,000. You should know that the genius of the world government CP organization, Rob Lucci, is probably only 3,000 strength now. Sure enough, Laozi has turned yellow and become stronger, asterisk. After confirming that Li Yi had no physical problems, Taotu gave him a kiss on the forehead. Take good care of yourself. After speaking, he left under the reluctant gaze of Li Yi. After Peach Rabbit left, a figure pushed open the door of the ward and entered, looking at the burly figure and the familiar purple hair. No need to ask Dunyang, she knows it's Zifa, this scam. Zifa. How has the kid recovered? Li Yi. It's okay, I guess we can all be discharged now. Zifa said, your performance this time was good, and you were able to hold on to that pirate for so long. That pirate is not only very powerful, but also has a weak mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to support my physical recovery. Zifa said, after being struck by lightning, you unleashed a powerful force and used a sword technique that I had never seen before. This sword technique had lightning power, which is really unbelievable. Li Yi said, I don't know why I could use that kind of sword technique. After being struck by lightning, it felt like a force in my body had awakened. Faced with Zifa's questions, Li Yi can only deceive him and cannot say that I have cheated. Zifa. You've never seen such a situation before. It's probably because you've absorbed the power of lightning. Zifa said, but your sword was able to break through the dominance of armed colors, indicating that you have reached the realm of a swordsman. Li Yi recalled the situation at that time, when the system activated and awakened the breathing technique, a mysterious breathing technique appeared in his mind and he fell into a wonderful state. At that moment, he seemed to be breathing with heaven and earth, and he never expected to become a swordsman like this. Zifa didn't notice Li Yi's daze and continued, I think your potential and talent are good, and I have decided to give you the qualification to participate in the Elite Camp Selection Competition. The Elite Camp Selection Competition is a competition specifically designed to select Navy recruits with strong talent, potential, and strength. The top 3 can enter the Elite Camp to receive the personal guidance of former Navy General Zifa, and also learn the Navy's physical skills of Navy 6 and Dominance. I'm going to determine the champion of this selection competition, Instructor Zifa. Li Yi confidently patted his chest and said. Zifa touched Li Yi's head and said, you haven't been fooled, kid. You should know how many people have good abilities in this selection, and there is one named Drake who is also a demon fruit ability person. All the memories about Drake flashed through his mind in an instant. Drake came from the North Sea and was the son of former Admiral Dias Beryllus. He was a demon fruit dragon fruit ancient cultivator. Instructor Zifa, I'm fine. I just got struck by lightning. I'm not doing well now. I have confidence in defeating Drake. Li Yi confidently said. Zifa. Take a good rest, leave the hospital and practice as soon as possible, and strive to achieve good rankings in the selection competition. Zifa watched as Li Yi, who was in a daze, shook his head and left. After a day, Li Yi had fully recovered and been discharged from the hospital. After returning to his residence, Li Yi closed his eyes to check the system properties. The main breathing method in the system interface was shining brightly, and at that moment, the mechanical sound of the system sounded. The host's strength has improved, and the second and third moves of the main breathing sword technique can be learned. May I ask if the host has learned them? Learning, Li Yi immediately gave instructions, and then the cultivation methods for the second and third forms of Thunder Breath came to mind. A figure in his mind was performing the sword technique of Thunder Breath. Li Yi's consciousness was watching and learning in his mind, and he quickly mastered the second and third forms completely. Chapter 5. The Abyss of Peach Rabbit. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the naval training room, a lightning-like figure shuttled back and forth around the wooden stake, wielding the blade quickly and leaving sword marks on the stake in the blink of an eye. The breath of thunder, the form of Tu, the soul of Tao. With a low shout, Li Yi approached the wooden stake and activated his breathing technique. In his hand, his Tai Dao struck 5 lightning-shaped combos, and the stake was instantly divided into 5 pieces. The breath of thunder, the shape of 3, gathers mosquitoes into thunder. The body quickly moved around a wooden stake, and as it moved at high speed, spherical thunderbolts fell one after another, followed by a roaring sound. After continuously practicing his swordsmanship, Li Yi withdrew his sword and stood up, feeling quite satisfied with the results before him. Pop 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 pop. Suddenly, a series of applause rang out, and at some point, a figure had already walked into the training room. Wearing a righteous coat, a pink sleeveless short coat and black hot pants, a pair of pure white long legs with black spider ball tables, and wearing black high heels with a famous knife hanging from the waist. The person who came was Rear Admiral Peach Rabbit, one of the top female swordsmen in the Navy. I don't know why every time I see Peach Rabbit, Li Yi has an abnormal impulse. Peach Rabbit exudes a charm called maturity, which deeply attracts Li Yi like poison. Peach Rabbit. Are those sword techniques you created yourself, Xiao Li Gong? Li Yi. Yes, this is what I came up with during my days in hospital. What do you think, Sister Taotu? Peach Rabbit. The moves are good, the speed of the moves is extremely fast, but there are also some drawbacks. Li Yi. Then please ask Sister Taotu to guide my younger brother. Li Yi bowed to seek advice. Peach Rabbit. No problem, little brother, pull out your sword. Peach Rabbit pulled out the famous sword Jin Kunwu from his waist, and Li Yi didn't hesitate to pull out his sword and put it in a posture. Taking a step forward, the Peach Rabbit rushed forward and slashed with a sword in its hand. Seeing this, the Peach Rabbit did not make any movement or make any attempt to avoid it. The sound of dang rang out, and at the moment when Li Yi's sword fell from his hand, Jin Kunwu accurately blocked it. Peach Rabbit seemed to have foreseen Li Yi's attack, and with just a gentle wave of its arm, it resolved Li Yi's attack. He truly deserves to be a candidate for the future as a great general, and his strength and swordsmanship cultivation are truly extraordinary. Li Yi was shocked by the general's strength in his heart. His attack was like a mosquito bite, but Li Yi quickly adjusted his mentality and continued to launch the attack. Dang 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 dang, the sound of metal collision between swords sounded, and Li Yi launched a fierce attack on Peach and Hare, which was as stable as Mount Tai to defend. The attacks from time to time during the defense made Li Yi fight with all his strength. Very good, your basic skills are very solid and you can withstand my arbitrary attacks. Peach Rabbit looked at Li Yi and praised him for resolving his attacks one by one. Sister, I haven't used my swordsmanship yet. Watch it. The breath of thunder, the 3 forms gather mosquitoes to form thunder. Li Yi's speed surged like lightning, spinning around the Peach Rabbit at high speed, while spherical lightning fell from Li Yi's body and shot towards the Peach Rabbit. Faced with spherical lightning, Peach Rabbit's body moved and her beautiful legs in high heels stepped on the ground, unleashing an ultra-high speed of movement and instantly avoiding the explosion of lightning balls. It is the Navy's Type 6 shaver, which stomps on the ground more than 10 times in an instant, unleashing a powerful impact force and generating super-fast movement speed. As expected by Li Yi, Peach Rabbit's shaving was immediately followed by Li Yi's second sword move, just as Peach Rabbit dodged the spherical thunder in the third move of Thunder's Breath. The breathing of thunder is in the shape of one, with a flash of thunder. Taking advantage of the moment when Peach Rabbit had just dodged the spherical thunder, Li Yi launched an attack on Peach Rabbit, charging directly towards him like lightning. This knife was extremely fast, but in the end it was still blocked by Peach Rabbit, but this does not mean that Li Yi's attack has stopped. The breath of thunder, the soul of the two forms Tao. The Tai Dao in his hand swung again, instantly producing 5 lightning-shaped slashes. Faced with 5 lightning-shaped slashes, Peach Rabbit finally got serious. In his hand, Jin Kunwu slashed horizontally and collided with the lightning 5 consecutive slashes. Bang, the two sides struck and collided, making a loud noise. Li Yi, who had used his breathing sword technique 3 times in a row, was exhausted and knelt on the ground holding the hilt. Xiaoyi, your swordsmanship is good. Your self-made swordsmanship erupts at an extremely fast speed, and even I almost got hit, but the only downside is my lack of strength. When you use swordsmanship, you always use a unique breathing technique to concentrate your body's strength through breathing and unleash your swordsmanship. But it's obvious that your breathing can't concentrate, and your swordsmanship hasn't unleashed any strength. And your swordsmanship also has an obvious weakness, which is that enemies can judge whether you are using a move by breathing. Peach Rabbit has listed Li Yi's shortcomings one by one, which is truly a successor to future generals. It is easy to see all of Li Yi's shortcomings at a glance and point them out one by one. With the guidance of the master, Li Yi immediately realized that there was a way to unleash the power of the breathing sword technique, which was to learn the breathing technique in the entire collection. Breathing technique is a type of breathing technique in the Blade of Ghost Destruction in the entire collection. It is a technique that can concentrate all body strength and burst out during battles. In Ghost Destruction, pillar-level swordsmen can practice breathing in the entire collection to be like normal breathing, and even have the ability to heal injuries and repair injured organs. Sister, thank you for your guidance, which helped me understand my own shortcomings. Li Yi bowed and thanked. After practicing with you for so long, my shoulders are sore. Can you help me pinch them? I saw Peach Rabbit take off his righteous coat and sit on a stool, her beautiful legs crossed and hooked her fingers at Li Yi. Li Yi was stunned by the elegant and charming sitting posture of the Peach Rabbit, and slowly walked to the back of the Peach Rabbit, placing both hands on its fragrant shoulders. At the moment of touching the skin, a soft feeling came from the hand. With a slight touch from both hands, the fingertips lightly tapped like floating clouds. In an instant, the Peach Rabbit felt like an electric current unconsciously making a wonderful sound. After a gentle caress, gently pinched the shoulders from low to high and slowly reached the neck. Sometimes, a light pinch or a heavy press will make the feeling of fatigue disappear. Peach Rabbit. You pressed it well. When did you learn it, kid? Li Yi. I made it myself. Peach Rabbit. Believe it or not, it's useless to just learn, but it's also quite comfortable to press. Listening to the coquettish voice of the Peach Rabbit, Li Yi laughed wildly in his heart and said, just kidding, I used to be the little prince of health preservation. I don't know what's unique, but as a master of health preservation, I certainly know several top-notch techniques. The top-notch techniques make Peach Rabbit addicted and enjoy it quietly with closed eyes. Watching Peach Rabbit tightly close his eyes, Li Yi dared to release his body and look forward. Suddenly, the vast and magnificent white peaks in front of him were revealed, with an invisible abyss running through them. As you gazed at the abyss, you unconsciously became addicted to it and couldn't extricate yourself. Does it look good? Suddenly, a voice pulled Li Yi back, who was staring into the abyss. Li Yi regained his senses and saw that Tao Tu had already opened her eyes and looked at Li Yi with a smile on her face, as if she was watching a mischievous little ghost. It looks good. Li Yi didn't know where he had the courage to answer Tao Tuesday. After he answered, Tao Tu looked slightly angry and reached out a finger to flick Li Yi's forehead, saying, "Stinky little brother, we can't do this next time." Li Yi was overjoyed to hear this sentence and said, "So, there's still another time. What were you doing just now, stinky little devil?" A figure stood at the entrance of the training room, emitting a murderous aura as he looked at Li Yi, his gaze as if the hatred of taking his wife was indescribable. "What are you doing here, Jiaji?" Peach Rabbit looked at the person who appeared with disgust on his face. This despicable man had confessed to him more than 100 times in public, and he would come to see him every once in a while, which was extremely annoying. As soon as Jia Ji saw the Peach Rabbit's intelligence plummeting, he immediately took out the prepared flowers and knelt down. "Dear Peach Rabbit, I like you." Unfortunately, before the extra words could be finished, he was kicked away by Peach Rabbit and flew out of training. "Get out of here, don't bother me." Taotu kicked Jiaji away with one kick, then turned around and left the training room. Jiaji, who had climbed up, chased after Taotu fiercely. Li Yi couldn't help but exclaim that he is truly a passionate licking dog. Even though he has been abused countless times, he still loves you like his first love. Chapter 6. Creating Breathing Sword Techniques. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Taotu and Jiaji left one after another, only Li Yi was left in the training room. Based on the problems pointed out by Taotu, they decided to practice the breathing method in the entire collection. Recalling the protagonist's method of practicing in the butterfly house in ghost slaying in his mind, Li Yi decided to start with physical fitness, push-ups, and crazy weightlifting exercises to increase physical fitness. With the continuous exercise of breathing techniques, Li Yi's strength is constantly increasing, and the system in his mind has unlocked new things. With both eyes tightly closed, the system emerged in the mind, and in the column of Assisted Breathing Method, on the system interface, Breathing Method in the complete collection appeared. Host. Li Yi Occupation. Swordsman Level. Junior Swordsman Main Breathing Method. Thunder Breath, Beginner, Assisted Breathing Method. Breathing Method in the complete collection, Beginner, Daily. 3000 Dominance. Unawakened the three realms of breathing method. None the breathing of the main breathing method is at the beginner level, just like the breathing method in the entire collection. After 3 days under the guidance of Tao Tu, Li Yi finally learned the breathing technique in the entire collection, and the next step is to practice sword waves. The so-called sword wave is actually flying and slashing. In the world of pirates, the sword skills of the swordsman are also long-range attack capabilities, and the sword wave of the great swordsman can split open the sea and cause terrifying damage to the earth. The principle of Janba is similar to that of Lanjiao in the Navy's Type 6. Lanjiao's principle is to use the vacuum generated by the ultra-high-speed kick to strike. The sword wave of a swordsman is the result of the swordsman compressing his power and releasing it through the sword in his hand. In the moment of rapid slashing, the compressed force flies out in a curved wave shape, with speed and strength being the key factors. During the battle against Weibull, Li Yi discovered that his sword wave attack power was too weak to cause substantial damage, so he had to combine breathing techniques to create his own sword wave sword technique. For the rest of the time, Li Yi stayed in the training room, constantly waving his sword. This scene was seen by many people who came to the training room to practice, and they all marveled at his strong perseverance. 2 days later in the training room, Li Yi held a knife with both hands and condensed his strength through the full-set breathing method, while operating the thunder breath to swing out with lightning speed. I saw a curved lightning sword wave flying out, its speed as fast as thunder making a thunderous sound. The lightning sword wave hit an iron training post not far away, which was split in half and cut open. The sword wave's power did not decrease and it headed straight towards the wall. Bang! The steel walls were hit by sword waves, instantly bursting into a 1-meter-wide hole as if being bombarded by artillery. The power is good, this move is called Thunder Snake. Lei Snake is a breathing sword technique created by Li Yi's continuous practice of sword wave attacks in recent days, which belongs to the sword technique beyond the 6 forms of Lei's breathing. It seems that after practicing for so many days, your swordsmanship has improved a lot. The power of this sword wave is good. The voice of Zifa came from behind and appeared in the training room at an unknown time. Of course, this one was created by me after years of hard practice. Li Yi was proud in front of Zifa, but to his surprise, Zifa's face, which was originally full of praise, changed drastically. If the stinky kid praises you a few words, you'll be proud. There are quite a few strong candidates in this selection competition, including 4 with just the Devil's Fruit ability. You think you can firmly hold the first place with your little strength? Zifa scolded Li Yi with a stern expression, feeling pleased with his rapid growth in strength. However, Li Yi's arrogance was also accompanied by his power expansion. Li Yi. What are the fruit abilities of General Instructor Zifa? Zifa. Smoke fruit, rust fruit, threshold fruit, dragon fruit, these people's potential and strength are not weaker than you. The first difficulty you think of is not small. Listening to the fruit abilities recited by Zifa, Li Yi also instantly thought of the owners of these fruit abilities. Smog fruit Smog, rusty fruit Xiuan, Fenjian fruit Tina, and dragon fruit Drake. Li Yi roughly estimated the strength of these 4 people, and only Smog and Drake could pose a threat to himself. Xiuan's ability is actually the ability to rust objects. For those who do not know his ability, it is easy to fall for it. For example, Sauron unknowingly caused the famous sword to snow walk and destroy. Although Tina's threshold fruit has the ability to restrain, it poses no threat at the speed of Li Yi. The Smog fruit of the natural series is naturally smoky, but at this time, the Smog fruit's ability should not be developed strongly. The trouble is the elemental ability of the natural series. The last Draculosaurus fruit is an ancient species, and those with animal abilities have doubled in strength after transformation, and their recovery ability is strong. Li Yi. Please rest assured, Chief Instructor. I am confident that I will not embarrass you. Zifa said, it depends on your performance. Although your parents are no longer here, they also hope that you can become a strong navy. After hearing Zifa's expectations, Li Yi immediately saluted and said, Instructor Zifa, I will definitely not disappoint your expectations. After speaking, Li Yi was ready to leave quickly, but his footsteps were so fast that he almost couldn't use his breathing. But no matter how fast it was, it couldn't escape Zifa's palm. Zifa's big hand had grabbed Li Yi's collar and pointed to the wall of the training room at some point. Stinky guy, fix the wall before leaving. Helpless, Li Yi had to repair the wall that had been damaged by the sword wave and rest at his home in Marinkodo. The next day, the elite selection competition for the Navy officially began. The next day, 4 arenas were set up in the square of Marinkodo, and the square was already crowded with people. Some of these people came to compete, while others came to be spectators. Many naval generals around the square were also silently watching the game, as these people were likely to become their subordinates. Li Yi was walking in the square with a sword in hand, observing the crowd coming and going, when suddenly a figure came into his eyes. The pink long hair fluttered in the wind, and the tall figure attracted the crowds. The swollen navy uniform made it increasingly difficult to suppress the growing body. I didn't expect to meet Tina just by strolling around, and next to Tina stood a man with white hair smoking, who was Smog. Not far from Tina and Smog, Drake crossed his hands and leaned alone on the arena. Suddenly, Li Yi felt a strong hostility, and this hostility was slowly approaching. A figure quickly appeared in front of them, with a zombie face and a navy-style long sword on their back. It was T-Peng-An, who later became known as the Ship Slayer, who called him T-Bone. T-Bone, you're just Li Yi, and you don't look very good either. It was luck that defeated that pirate, right? Li Yi. Did you rely on luck to know when you met me on the arena? T.Bone, if you encounter me on the arena, it's your misfortune. Li. It's hard to say whose misfortune it is. The conversation between the two was full of gunpowder, attracting the attention of others. As both soldiers, they were destined to have a confrontation. Don't be too arrogant, kid. You're getting close to people you shouldn't be. After leaving a sentence, T.Bone left, and his words caught Li Yi's attention. After thinking for a moment, he smiled and said, "So it's the thug who licks the dog." The licking dog in Li Yi's mouth is Jiaji, and at this moment, Jiaji is staring at Li Yi in a certain place. This despicable little ghost dared to touch the peach rabbit, and this intimate gesture deeply stimulated Jiaji. You should know that Jiaji has confessed to the peach rabbit so many times but has not even touched his fingers. So Jiaji found T.Bone and asked him to give Li Yi a hard lesson in the competition. Knowing that this was the person sent by Jiaji, Li Yi sneered and didn't even pay attention to T.Bone. Jiaji was just a clown on his way to conquer the peach rabbit. With the sound of a dang bell, the selection competition officially began with Zifa's announcement. There are 4 stages in the venue, and whoever can stand at the end of the 4 stages will have the qualification to enter the elite camp. The champions on the 4 stages will compete in the final to determine the first place in the selection competition. At the beginning of the competition, participants stepped onto the arena one after another, and the 4 arenas engaged in fierce battles. After watching for a while, Li Yi chose a ring and went straight to the stage. Looking at the naval soldiers guarding the arena, Li Yi arrogantly said, "Don't waste time, I want to fight 10. Chapter 7. I want to beat 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I want to hit 10. As soon as this statement was made, the champion was dumbfounded, and the judges outside the arena were also blinded. He angrily scolded Li Yi on stage, "I have hosted the elite selection competition in the Navy for many years, and I have never seen such an arrogant player." Faced with the referee's scolding, Li Yi arrogantly replied, "Then you'll see it today." A sentence of retorting to the referee seemed like he had eaten feces and couldn't speak, while the defenders on the arena felt it was a blatant insult. "Damn it, how dare you underestimate me? Go to hell." The defender was furious and raised his axe to strike. Watching the opponent lift the axe and strike, Li Yi didn't even glance and slowly drew his sword. The breathing of thunder is in the shape of one, with a flash of thunder. Before the defender could react, a golden thunderbolt flashed before his eyes. In the next moment, he felt a burst of pain in his chest and passed out. The scene fell into a brief silence, and everyone only saw the defender raising an axe and rushing over. Then Li Yi passed through like a lightning bolt, and the defender was instantly killed. The referee next to the arena was even more shocked. The soldier named Li Yi's sword speed was so fast that it was almost as fast as the shining fruit of the yellow ape general. After swiftly killing his opponent with a single sword, Li Yi looked at the person under the arena and said, "Who else will come up together? My time is precious." After the arrogant words were spoken, everyone in the arena exploded and various greetings rushed up. Watching the people around him drooling, Li Yi just said, "In my eyes, everyone under the arena is trash. If you have the ability, go on stage, and if you don't have the ability, shut up for me." This sentence completely ignited the anger of the audience and attracted the attention of Drake, Smog, Tina, and T.Bone, all of whom cast their eyes to see Li Yi's strength. Zifa in the center of the square looked at Li Yi's arrogant attitude, covered his forehead and said in frustration, "This guy's brain is probably hacked, isn't it? If he doesn't pretend, he will die." Next to Zifa was the Navy Staff Officer Crane, who was lost in thought as he watched Li Yi on the arena and looked at the location of Jia Ji in the distance. At this moment, the arena was filled with people carefully counting a total of 20 people, each holding weapons and surrounding Li Yi in groups. "Don't be too arrogant, kid. Now we'll surround you all around. No matter how fast your sword is, can you knock us down at the same time in an instant?" The leader shouted fiercely at Li Yi. Have you ever seen a sword as fast as lightning? Li Yi responded calmly and then took a step, holding the hilt of the sword and making a drawing posture. On the arena, these people saw Li Yi move and raised their weapons to chop. The breathing of thunder is in the shape of one, and with a flash of thunder, there are 20 combos. With a low shout, the Thunderbolt exploded, and in the moment the sword fell, the figure disappeared. The Thunderbolt on the arena shuttled back and forth among the crowd, its speed being as fast as lightning, making it impossible to see clearly the body shape, let alone the Tai Dao wielded by Li Yi. Afterwards, all of these people fell to the ground with scars on their bodies. At this moment, the arena fell into a deathly silence, and with just a few breaths, 20 people were defeated without any remaining strength to fight back. Drake, Smog, Tina, and others who had not yet entered the arena in the distance had a solemn expression on their faces, shocked by Li Yi's strength. Tina. His speed is very fast, Tina can't see clearly. Smog. His speed is indeed very fast, but can his attacks be effective when facing natural fruits? On the other side, Jiaji also saw Li Yi's performance, shocked by the rapid growth of this little ghost's strength in just a few days. However, Jiaji was already prepared to speak to the people around him. Xiuan, it's time for you to come on stage. Li Yi, who defeated 20 people on the arena, exuded a towering aura, standing tall with his head held high, and was intimidated by this aura below the arena. At this moment, Li Yi's fighting spirit was high and he shouted to the arena, "Who else is there?" At this moment, no one dared to step onto the stage in the arena, and Li Yi's powerful strength deterred them. "I will cultivate grace to fight against you." Suddenly, a voice rang out, and a figure jumped onto the arena from a distance. Watching Xiu and Li Yi jump onto the arena with a sneer, he said to Xiu, "You are very confident in your fruit ability." Xiu, "It seems that you are very familiar with my fruit ability, so you should know that my ability is just right to restrain swordsmen, so your slash is ineffective against me." Upon hearing Xiu's words, Li Yi couldn't help but laugh. This guy really thought he had great abilities, but in fact, only a domineering person could ignore the ability of rusty fruits. Looking at Li Yi's smirk, Xiu felt that the other party looked down on him for launching an attack first. He aimed his palm towards the Tai Dao in Li Yi's hand, which would corrode and rust once touched. Once he lost his weapon, he would not fight himself. Li Yi couldn't help but know his thoughts, and his figure easily dodged. "Do you only know how to dodge? You can't defeat me just now. Just accept my attack obediently." Xiu saw Li Yi avoid speaking sarcastically. Faced with Xiu's mockery, Li Yi simply responded with 2 words. "Foolish fork." The breath of thunder, the thunder snake. With both hands gripping the knife, a lightning-shaped sword wave flew out and was hit before Xiu could react. Bang! The sword wave hit Xiu and his sword energy exploded, and his powerful force directly blasted Xiu out of the arena. The arena fell silent once again, and the demon fruit ability was easily defeated. Moreover, the attack just now was not a sword wave attack that only a swordsman could use, and many new recruits couldn't accept the fact in front of them. Everyone in the Navy didn't know that this guy was trained the worst, but now he has suddenly become so strong. It's like a scumbag suddenly becoming a top student, can you accept it? Watching the game from a distance, Jia Ji exclaimed carelessly, never expecting Li Yi to make such rapid progress in just a few days. "Who else is there?" Defeat Xiu and Li Yi with one move and continue to shout arrogantly at the people below the arena. "And me, T Pengen." T.Bone responded to Li Yi's provocation, carrying a long sword and jumping onto the stage through the crowd. T.Bone, "I didn't expect your strength to be so strong, it's worth being my hand." As soon as he stepped onto the stage, the T.Bone began to pretend to be blue, which made Li Yi uncomfortable for a while. In his opinion, this arena was already his home ground, and pretending to be blue was a tall and elegant job that he could only do on his own. "Li Yi. It's an extra plan for you to challenge me, right?" T.Bone. So you already guessed, then you should know that General Jiaji likes Lieutenant General Peach Rabbit, which is something that the entire Navy knows. Li. So what? It's not his wife, can he manage it? T.Bone. Arrogant, it seems you can't do it without a lesson. Slowly pulling out his long sword from behind to make an attacking posture, Li didn't hesitate to pull out his Tai Dao. For T.Bone Li, he did not immediately use his breathing sword technique. T.Bone is not an ordinary person, at least he is also a swordsman of the swordsman level, and the Thunderbolt style has already been demonstrated. T.Bone must have been on guard for a long time. The two stood with swords in hand and did not immediately take action, both adjusting their breath. A gentle breeze blew, and at that moment both of them moved. The collision of swords stirred up a strong wind, and the wooden boards on the arena were about to overturn. At the moment of the clash, both of them felt the strength of each other's swords. Li estimated that the T.Bone also had 1,500 power points, which is already an extraordinary level of combat power. However, in contrast, Li has an advantage, as the power he unleashes when using the breathing technique bonus is far more than 3,000 points. Both swords collide back and forth, both using basic swordsmanship to collide, becoming increasingly intense over time. T.Bone deeply felt Li's strength, and surprisingly, he was gradually being suppressed, and it was a suppression of power. It was only a matter of time before he could sustain defeat. I hate curved swordsmanship the most, so I have created my own unique sword technique. Right angle slash. Flash. I saw T.Bone holding his sword with both hands and accumulating strength, then waving a sword wave and flying out in a straight line. The sword wave of T.Bone is not arc-shaped like a normal sword wave, but rather an arrow-shaped sword wave. The moment it cuts out, it is like a shell shooting, with a faster speed and stronger power than ordinary sword waves. Bang! Suddenly, a sword wave shot through, and Li raised his sword to block it horizontally. The force transmitted from the blade was like artillery fire, making his hands numb. Do you think you're the only one who knows sword wave attacks? I can do it too. The breath of thunder, the thunder snake. With a wave of grip, lightning-shaped sword waves flew out. Upon seeing Li blocking his own attack, he immediately used his sword wave to counterattack. T.Bone's fighting spirit was stimulated and he also used his sword wave to counterattack. Bang! The collision of swords and waves erupted into a roaring sound, blasting out a large pit in the arena. The two swords were waving one after another, and sword waves flew out one after another. The sword waves bombarded the entire arena, causing it to be shattered and shattered. Sword wave attacks occasionally fly out of the arena, causing damage to the field outside the arena. The cracks cut out are like craters bombarded by shells, which startle the onlookers to retreat. The damage caused by sword heroes is so terrifying. Zifa, on the central podium, praised the performance of the two, saying, "Their strength is good, and such an exciting swordsman duel is rarely seen in the selection competition." The crane on the side was also surprised by Li's strength. T.Bone's strength ranked in the top 5 among sea soldiers during the same period. Except for demonic fruit abilities like Smog, Drake, and Tina, few new recruits could compete with it. The sword wave battle between the two has been going on for a while, and as time goes on, the outcome has become apparent. T.Bone's stamina is almost exhausted, and they can only struggle to support the sword wave attack, but their strength is gradually weakening. On the other hand, Li continued to use sword wave attacks with ease, clearly not exerting all his strength in the sword wave bombardment against T.Bone. It's time for T.Bone to end this game, you can't hold on anymore. The breath of thunder in the complete collection, the great thunder snake. With a low drink, the breathing technique operates, and the body's strength is concentrated between the hands. With a sweep of the sword in his hand, a huge curved sword wave that was 3 meters long shot out, making a thunderous sound like a lightning snake. The exhausted T-Bone reluctantly emitted a sword wave to resist, but the Thunder Snake relentlessly pushed forward, hitting the T-Bone directly and flying away. Its powerful force even caused the T-Bone to repeatedly damage several walls. Chapter 8. Battle Tina, Drake defeated. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The sword wave cut out by this sword once again shocked everyone, and Zifa's eyes on the central podium erupted with a look of shock. The people of Smog and Drake looked even more solemn. After the defeat of T-Bone, no one dared to challenge themselves on the arena and turned to the remaining three. Smog, Drake, and Tina also selected the arena one after another, and the three of them showed overwhelming strength sweeping the arena, becoming the champions of the arena. In this way, all four arenas already had arena masters, and no one challenged them until the end of the challenge time. Zifa nodded with satisfaction as he watched the final four finalists. With just a little training from 3 demon fruit abilities and 1 swordsman, he could become a future naval officer. After a battle, the 4 arenas had been severely damaged, and Zifa ordered the reconstruction of a new arena. Quickly, a larger and more sturdy arena appeared, and the top 4 contestants gathered under the arena. Zifa came to the 4 of them and looked at them with a jar in hand, saying, "Draw lots." 4 people reached into the jar one after another to draw a note. Lee opened the note in his hand and saw that it read, Tina number 1, while Tina who opened the note also glanced at Lee. Zifa. You all know each other's opponents now. Zifa. So the first round of the finals will be played by the first and second teams, so the person who draws the number will go to the arena. Tina was the first to jump onto the arena, and Lee followed suit. Lee. Tina didn't expect us to become opponents, we really can't take action. Tina. I heard that after being struck by lightning, not only did your hair change, but your strength improved rapidly. Lee. Tina, actually you missed a little bit. Tina. What's missing? Lee. That means I've become even more handsome. Tina. Tina was well aware of Li Yi's extremely fast-breathing technique in swordsmanship, so she took the initiative and extended a fence-like iron branch from her arm to surround Li Yi. Format threshold: once the fence shrinks and is entangled by an iron branch, it is difficult to escape. Of course, Li Yi will not be foolishly entangled, and his breathing method launches a lightning-like flash to escape from the attack range. Tina. The speed is very fast, Tina can't sleep, so disappointed. Lee. Tina, are you trying to trap my person or my heart? The frivolous language made Tina's face turn red, and then she became slightly angry. Tina, you're angry. A black iron branch extended from the pure white palm, and the black iron branch turned into a black spear in Tina's hand. Tina, holding a spear in her hand, launched a fierce attack, and Li Yi raised her sword to confront her with a single shot. The two of them engaged in a close combat. After a few moves, Li Yi roughly evaluated Tina's strength in his heart and found that it was only 900 points lower than T-Bone's. For Li Yi, who possesses 3,000 martial arts skills, it is easy to suppress, with a long spear piercing and effortless handling. Occasionally, his sword presses against Tina's body and smells the charming fragrance. After engaging in close combat for a period of time, Tina realized that she had no advantage in close combat and her strength was not as strong as her opponent's. If she continued to fight, she would only lose. A person stepped back to distance themselves and no longer engaged in close combat with Li Yi, while Tina pressed her hand against the ground. The gun of the black formation, countless black iron branches constantly sprouted from the ground, like a gun formation. The continuous emergence of the long spear made Li Yi have to dodge left and right, constantly observing the time and pattern of the long spear rising from the ground while avoiding. It has to be said that Tina's use of fruit ability compensates for her lack of strength. Although Li Yi's speed is fast, it is also difficult to get close, which raises suspicions that Tina, who was at the top of the war, seriously let Lu Fei down. After observing for a while, Li Yi finally discovered the loophole in the black formation spear, and when the gap appeared, he activated the breathing sword technique. The breathing of thunder is in the shape of one, with a flash of thunder. The sword technique activated her body to move like lightning, and at the first moment of Li Yi's movement, Tina had already made a defensive posture, forming an iron wall with 2 iron railings. Tina has long been prepared for the breathing sword technique. Although the Thunderbolt style has a fast speed, its strength is weak, and it can be resisted with sufficient defense. However, Tina clearly underestimated Li Yi, and how could the sword technique of Lei Ji's breathing technique only have one move? As expected, Li Yi came to Tina in an instant with the lightning speed of the Thunderbolt style, and once again used the Thunder Breath sword technique. The breathing of thunder is in 2 forms, and the soul is hidden. In his hand, Tai Dao quickly swung 4 lightning-shaped slashes and struck the iron wall, instantly splitting it open. The final blow struck towards Tina. As this knife was about to strike Tina, Tai Dao stopped a few inches away from his neck. "You lost to Tina." Looking at the Tai Dao hanging around her neck, Tina felt unwilling to accept it. She never expected that Li Yi's self-created sword technique had more than one move, and during the battle against T.Bone, it did not make them mistakenly think that there was only one move. Tina admits defeat, "Your strength is very strong." As Tina gave up, the referee announced that Li Yi had won and entered the final. The next match will be between Drake and Smog, and the winner will become Li Yi's opponent in the final. Smog and Drake walked onto the arena at the same time, and at this time, they did not have customized weapons. Both sides used ordinary military knives. As the referee called out the start of the game, both sides rushed towards each other, wielding their swords and engaging in a close combat. The two did not use their fruit abilities and clearly intended to test each other's strength first. Dang dang dang, the sound of swords colliding echoed from the arena, and the two of them did not use their abilities, so the battle was just normal. Under the arena, Li Yi observed the battle between the two and evaluated their strength and skills. At this time, Smog and Drake had similar strength and T.Bone, both within the range of 1000 to 1500 strength values. Both of them are demon fruit cultivators, one natural and one animal. The smoke fruit ability can turn any part of the body into smoke, and even if the body is destroyed by pure physical attacks, it can instantly recombine with smoke. The fruit of the dragon has the ability to transform into a special dragon, with enormous strength, a tall and strong physique, and sharp claws. After transformation, its strength and defense increase differently. The key to the victory of this battle against the devil fruit ability lies in the use and development of fruit abilities by the two individuals. After a close encounter, the two of them had almost reached out to each other, and they distanced themselves to use the devil fruit ability. White Fist, Smog first activated the devil fruit ability, turning his wrist into a smoke state, and then the smoke erupted and his fist shot out like a rocket. Drake also activated his fruit ability to transform, his body began to expand and his limbs began to change. His hands revealed sharp claws, and a dinosaur tail appeared, transforming his head into the shape of a dinosaur. Bang! Drake, in the form of a human beast, directly resisted the attack, retreating slightly without any visible signs of injury. He swung his sharp claws straight toward Smog. White Vine, Smog certainly wouldn't be foolish to wait for Drake to rush over, his whole body turning into white smoke and enveloping Drake. Drake, entangled in white smoke, kept swinging and trying to break free, but even with all his strength, he couldn't break free from white smoke. The reason why the natural ability is powerful is due to the inexplicable elemental transformation. In order to attack the demon fruit ability of the natural ability, only armed color dominance can achieve it. So the ability of the natural system can dominate in the first half of the Great Root, because it is difficult to encounter strong opponents who can arm themselves with color dominance in the first half. Chapter 9. Battle against Smog, Awakening Armed Color Dominance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Smog successfully blocked Drake's actions, he once again transformed into a human form. White mist emitter, the lower body turned into white mist, and the reaction force generated by the eruption of the white mist caused Smog to fly high into the sky. White fist chaos. Smog unleashed his fists in mid-air, his fists fluttering in the air and bombarding Drake wildly. Drake, who had not learned how to arm himself, could only be passively beaten. Even if Drake counterattacks, it is of no use at all. It cannot cause damage to Smog, and without armed color dominance, it cannot attack elemental bodies. Under the bombardment of Smog's white fist, Drake's stamina was gradually depleted and he was soon unable to sustain himself. Smog also seized this opportunity to release his moves. White gust, the whole body turned into smoke, enveloping Drake and then fiercely throwing him out of the arena. The referee immediately declared Smog's victory upon seeing the situation. Under the arena, Drake looked at Smog with a look of unwillingness. He was defeated too much, and his strength was not inferior to Smog. However, his natural fruit ability was too inexplicable, and he could not cause damage without armed dominance. With the match between Smog and Drake coming to an end, the final between Smog and Lee will follow. Everyone is unanimously optimistic about Smog, even Zifa on the podium thinks the same. Suddenly, a golden light appeared behind Zifa, gradually converging into a human form. In a yellow suit and sunglasses, wearing a righteous coat, it was the Navy General, the Yellow Ape. Zifa. I didn't expect you to appear. Is that the little guy who came over? Huan. It's normal for him to come and take a look, teacher. He's all my nephew. Zifa said, he is very good at reaching the finals. If you didn't carefully look at his information, you wouldn't have expected him to have such a talent in swordsmanship. He wielded his sword and once out of the sea in 3 months, he understood the breath of all things and became a swordsman, and also understood the meaning of the Sword of Thunder. Yellow Ape. I didn't expect his talent to be so terrifying either. Zifa. Unfortunately, he will encounter Smog with natural abilities next, and he will definitely lose. Yellow Ape. That's really a pity. During the conversation between Zifa and the Yellow Ape, Lee was closing his eyes and preparing for the final competition. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the crowd, and a figure walked towards Lee. Lee, with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and saw a tall and slender leg. The person who came in was Peach Rabbit. Lee. Sister, why did you come? Peach Rabbit. Sister, I heard that you came to the final specifically to have a look. You performed well on the arena. Lee. Is that sister going to reward her younger brother? Peach Rabbit. Then you also need to win first. Lee. That's what you said, don't go back on your word. Peach Rabbit. Your next opponent is a natural fruit expert, and your attack cannot damage him at all, so you cannot defeat him. Lee. How do you know if you don't try? Maybe I can create miracles. Peach Rabbit. Then I'll wait and see your miracle. The final soon began, and Lee and Smog stepped onto the arena, their eyes fixed on the smell of gunpowder. Smog. I didn't expect your strength to grow so quickly suddenly. Lee. Actually, I am a genius, but my talent has never awakened. Smog. You can just blow it off. You kid always sneaks a peek at the female soldier next door and hasn't trained seriously. Lee, don't measure me as a genius by ordinary standards. Smog said, even if you're a genius, what if you don't have an armed and domineering aura? Can you deal with me who has natural demon fruits? Lee. Then give it a try. The breathing of thunder is in one form, and the Thunderbolt is in one form. Lee took the lead in attacking, drawing his sword and cutting towards Smog like a thunderbolt. With a chi sound, Smog's head fell in response, eerily without a drop of blood. His body and head were connected by white smoke, and the head that was quickly cut off was quickly reconnected. Smog. Your attack has no effect on the elemental body. White Vine, his body turned into smoke and turned into vines, attacking him in an attempt to catch Li Yi. But Li Yi has a Thunderbolt style with extremely fast speed, and Smog's Smoke Vine cannot catch Li Yi at all. White Smoke Emitter, the white smoke behind him spewed out Smog's movement speed, which accelerated. Although not as fast as the Thunderbolt style, he could still firmly follow behind Li Yi. White Fist, the fist sprayed with smoke was like a rocket attacking Li Yi, who turned around and blocked it with a horizontal knife. When the sound of metal collision was heard and the fist hit the Tai Dao, and the powerful impact came from the Tai Dao. With the bonus of Devil Fruit's ability, Smog's strength changed. Breath of Thunder, Thunder Snake, the breathing method operates and swings the knife horizontally, shooting out an arc-shaped chopping wave with lightning. Faced with the chop wave attack, Smog didn't even take it to heart, allowing the chop wave attack to pass through his body. Smog. Don't waste your effort, it's useless. Li Yi said, I don't believe it's impossible to strike. If it doesn't work, then come a few more times. The breath of thunder is in the shape of one, with a flash of thunder. Thunder burst out in an instant and arrived in front of Smog, followed by the next sword move. Thunder's breath in two forms, Tao Soul, in an instant, he drew his sword and struck with 5 lightning strikes. Smog was instantly cut into 5 pieces, but there was no drop of blood. The place where he was cut was filled with white smoke and quickly regained his integrity. Smog said, it's useless. You can't defeat me in the face of natural abilities. White Snake, the entire arm turned into a snake-shaped smoke that enveloped Li Yi, and Smog swung the snake-shaped smoke, causing Li Yi to fall into pieces like a leaf fluttering in the wind. Li Yi felt as if all the bones in his body were about to crack, and Smog's white snake attack was really like a snake tightly biting and not letting go. The more difficult it is, the calmer it becomes, constantly recalling everything about dominance in one's mind. Hegemony is a potential power that everyone in the world of One Piece possesses. It is an innate ability, but ordinary people need to break the shackles through exercise or other means to unleash this hidden power. Willpower controls these invisible forces to form powerful abilities, which can touch the body of those with natural abilities, improving their attack and defense abilities. It can even predict the enemy's next attack, and a strong aura can predict the future. The domineering aura at the level of a domineering aura can intimidate enemies solely based on their aura. Confronting strong opponents with the same domineering aura can also cause a celestial rift phenomenon. At this moment, Li Yi's eyes were tightly closed and he fell into a wonderful state. Li Yi's breathing was at its limit and he concentrated his strength in his hand. The thunder burst out with a dazzling light. Li Yi wanted to continuously compress and stack the power of breathing techniques to stimulate potential dominance, and even forgot about the pain during the operation of breathing techniques. Smog also noticed that Li Yi's condition was not right, and a dangerous aura quietly sprouted in his heart, consciously telling him not to drag on any longer. The naval commander-level experts outside discovered earlier than Smog, and looked at Soyen with incredulous eyes. Zifa said, it's impossible. He's trying to concentrate his strength and forcefully unlock his body's potential, in order to awaken his armed dominance. Yellow Monkey. Wow, my big nephew is so scary. Crane. How did he do it? You didn't teach Peach Rabbit, did you? Peach Rabbit. I didn't teach him, Xiaoyi's talent is really terrifying. Zifa. This son has the posture of a great general. When Zifa said this, the other 3 people were all shocked. General, that is the top naval force that cannot be played by a top strong person. Can this little devil become a top strong person? The yellow ape looked at Li Yi on the stage and murmured, does my nephew have the posture of a great general? Chapter 10. Mysteries. Speed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not only were the 4 members of Zifa on the podium shocked, but they looked at Li Yi with a devilish expression in a corner. Impossible, absolutely impossible. At this point, Jia Ji could no longer sit still. As soon as he thought about the reward agreement between the little ghost and the peach rabbit, he couldn't calm down. With his buttocks, he could even think of what the evil little ghost wanted to do. Smog, you idiot, quickly knock him out of the arena and you'll win. With an extra shave, he arrived at the edge of the arena and shouted at Smog. White gust, a large amount of smoke enveloped Li Yi and then threw him into the air. White fist, chaos, my arms were wildly waving, and my fists were spraying white smoke like missiles, bombarding me away. However, everything was too late, and the thunder from the hand holding the knife disappeared and condensed together, with black energy covering the blade. When Jia Ji at the edge of the arena saw the black patch appear, his eyes protruded and his chin stretched out, almost touching the ground. Zifa had an incredulous expression on his face, and the yellow ape let out a series of terrifying murmurs. Countless white smoke-flying fists have surrounded Li Yi, and his fists are about to attack his body. At this moment, Li Yi's eyes opened, shining with lightning, and his whole body burst out with dazzling lightning. The breath of thunder is swift. A low voice rang out, and then Li Yi's figure from high above fell like a thunderbolt, and the sound of thunder echoed through the entire Malinkodo. At the moment when the thunder rang out, Zifa quickly shouted to the yellow ape, "Go stop it, Smog can't stop this blow." Before Zifa could finish speaking, the yellow ape had already turned into a beam of light and left without even using an 8-foot mirror. Li Yi's sword was too fast. Smog on the arena had no defensive ability, and all the white smoke-flying fists attacking Li Yi were instantly defeated. The next moment, the pitch-black blade had already struck his head, and in the blink of an eye, it was less than 50 centimeters away from his head. The pitch-black blade emitted a deadly aura, and Smog had a premonition that it was about to end. Light speed kick, the yellow ape rushed to the edge of the knife in time, kicking it with one foot and blocking it. Although the yellow ape blocked the knife, the rapid burst of power directly split the arena in half. Bang, dust was flying all over the sky. After the dust cleared, everyone saw Smog sitting on the ground, with a tall figure beside him blocking the blade strike with his feet. Isn't that the yellow ape general? After seeing the figure clearly, everyone was all shocked, and even the general was shocked in this game. Yellow ape. It's too scary, Smog. If you slow down a bit, you'll be in half. Smog. Omega O. Huang Huan. Xiaoyi, you won this game. Let's cut the knife. Strangely, Li Yi did not respond and still made a gesture of raising his sword and chopping. Hey, you shouldn't be called anything. What posture are you still in after winning the game? Huang Huan glanced at Li Yi and walked over, lightly tapping his shoulder with his fingers. With a loud bang, the whole person fell to the ground, smoking black smoke. Forcefully exerting incredible speed caused Li Yi to exceed his physical load, causing him to faint again. Zifa said, "It seems that forcefully using his armed aura and such rapid swordsmanship has exceeded his physical endurance." Zifa walked to the side of the yellow ape to examine Li Yi lying on the ground, and Taodu also came to the arena to embrace the unconscious Li Yi. Yellow ape. It's really dangerous to use such a move without a strong physique. Zifa. From now on, with my personal guidance, his physique will definitely be much stronger than someone else's. Huang Huan. / teacher, what you said is very heartwarming to me. The final match caused a stir among the senior management of the Navy, and Li Yi's performance caught the attention of many generals. In the office of the Marshal of the Navy, there were 6 people sitting, none of whom were among the top naval powerhouses. Admiral of the Navy in the Warring States period, the 3 great generals Huang Huan, Qing Ji, and Qi Go, former great general Zifa, and naval hero Kapu. Warring States period. Zifa heard that a good candidate has emerged from this selection competition. Zifa. That child has great talent and potential. If I personally teach him, he will definitely be a great general in the future. Kapu. Zifa rarely hears you praise people like that, but that kid is good. There was a lot of noise that day. Red Dog. You arrogant little devil, you can't even control your own strength and almost killed your opponent. People like this should be trained under my command. Yellow Ape. Sakaski, that's not right. My nephew should be on my team. Chingji. Come to your team so that you can work as a fair and upright sheep grinder. Yellow Monkey. Dish. A few people started a series, but the reason couldn't be that they wanted Li Yi to come under their command. As the Marshal of the Navy in the Warring States period, he patted the table and said, "Everyone, be quiet. It's still early to discuss who that kid will be under. Let's wait until he graduates from the elite camp." On the other side, Li Yi was once again honored and admitted to the Navy hospital. In his last memory, a beautiful figure hugged him, feeling as if he was completely immersed in a soft cloud layer, and then he lost consciousness. When she woke up again, she was already in the hospital. Two nurse sisters in the ward saw Li Yi waking up and notified the doctor. After a check. Up, the doctor said, "The young man is fine and can be discharged tomorrow." After the doctor finished speaking, he left with the nurse, and then Peach Rabbit arrived. "Xiao Li Yi, it seems that you have nothing else to do." Sister came to see me and immediately became more energetic. Li Yi looked at the slender and tall figure of the Peach Rabbit as if he had tasted coffee and was full of energy. "You have a smooth tongue, not a bit serious." Peach Rabbit extended its slender finger and flicked Li Yi's forehead. "Ouch, it hurts so much." Li Yi pretended to be in pain, making Peach Rabbit laugh. "Stop pretending. I've cooked congee for you. Eat it while it's hot." Peach Rabbit opened his food box and took out a bowl of congee. Li Yi wanted to catch this bowl of congee, but suddenly he saw a furtive figure outside the ward. He didn't have to guess who it was. Peach Rabbit's loyal licking dog Jiaji. "Oh my, sister, my hand suddenly feels weak. Can you feed me?" Of course, Peach Rabbit knew Li Yi's feelings, but when she came, she already knew that Jiaji was following behind. "Okay, since you just recovered, I'll feed you myself." Peach Rabbit was holding a bowl in one hand and a spoon in the other, with pink lips blowing the congee in the spoon. "Come on," Zhang spoke up. After blowing congee, Peach Rabbit sent it to Li Yi's mouth, and felt a delicious taste spread in his mouth with a fragrance. In addition to enjoying the delicious food, the visual enjoyment is also the ultimate, making Li Yi addicted to it and unable to extricate himself. At this moment, Li Yi remembered the competition reward that Peach Rabbit had mentioned before, so he smiled and said, "Sister, didn't you say there was a reward for winning?" Peach Rabbit. "So what reward do you want?" Li Yi. "You come closer, I'll tell you quietly." Peach Rabbit approached him mysteriously, but Li Yi said he wasn't close enough. "Sister, you reach over and I'll say it in your ear." The distance between the two has narrowed to only one palm facing each other. Li Yi. "The reward I want is..." Taking advantage of the moment when Peach Rabbit was listening, Li Yi made a lightning raid and launched his lips to directly attack Peach Rabbit's beautiful face. At the moment of hitting, I only felt the smooth, soft and charming aroma. With a wave sound, the surprise attack was so fast that even Peach Rabbit couldn't react. Li Yi blushed instantly and couldn't resist another shot. Unfortunately, this time his lips didn't get close to Peach Rabbit before he dodged. And outside the ward, Jiaji was already raging with green smoke exploding above his head, and at this moment, Jiaji couldn't avoid pushing open the door. "Bastard, what are you doing?" Jiaji angrily pointed at Li Yi and questioned him. "Eating congee." Facing Jiaji's question, Li Yi just calmly replied and continued to eat congee fed by Peach Rabbit with his mouth wide open. The two people seemed to ignore Jiaji. "Dish, so arrogant, how dare you blatantly ignore me?" Jiaji felt as if his face was being fiercely stepped on, and his anger was about to explode. This is not an additional charge. Don't you have to perform tasks here when you have time? Suddenly, a lazy voice came from behind, and when I turned around, I suddenly realized that the yellow ape was standing behind me. Jiaji. I'm here to visit this person who has been in the limelight lately. There's nothing else to do, let's go first. Upon seeing the arrival of the yellow ape, Jiaji immediately ran away. Don't be fooled by the yellow ape's laziness to protect him and beat him half to death. Peach Rabbit saw the arrival of the yellow ape and thought about the blush on his face from the surprise attack just now before leaving. Li Yi, who was lying on the hospital bed, suddenly felt a sense of achievement as he watched Peach Rabbit blush and leave. His conquest plan took another step forward, although it was only a small step, it was a great step towards the beginning of a happy life.